Greetings and welcome to another video. In fact, welcome to take 2 because some wally forgot to press the record button. But there you go. We're here, we're back, and this time it's all three of us. I'm joined by Mamemeister. Hello, mate.
Good evening, chaps.
And Lukozer.
Hello again.
I was expecting you to say good evening.
Well, that's my channel. I'll spare you that one. Well, you fucking said it anyway, so.
Yeah, well, you didn't in the last bleeding video we did. Yeah, so in the first take of this, we had a wonderful conversation about Bob Yanis and the SID chip. But I've got a feeling this time it's just going to be music.
Yeah, I've already forgotten what I said in the first one, so.
Oh, that's all right. We can carry on then. What I had said was that I wondered if when Bob Yanis designed the SID chip between sort of 80 and 82 before the Commodore 64 come out, it'd be interesting to have him on a show, not that he probably would, and actually ask him what he thinks of what people are doing with it now, because he's someone that makes musical instruments. You know, he designed the SID chip to be a three-voice synthesizer. I mean, all right, I know some people managed to get 4 out of it with the glitch that let you have samples, particularly in the 6581. But, you know, it would be interesting to see what he thinks of some of the newer tunes that have been done, you know, like now rather than back then. I believe I mentioned before that, you know, when he was still with Commodore, every other tune was fucking Greensleeves.
Pretty much, yeah. Is the guy still alive, do you know?
Pretty sure he is. I haven't read or seen anywhere that he's passed on.
Maybe worthwhile having a look in Twitter, just try and get in touch with him. You never know, mate.
Yeah, I don't know what he'd make of us.
I've got a pretty shrewd idea, but whether he'd say it is another matter.
Yeah, well, it would be nice to get some guests on from the industry in perhaps future videos. Who knows? You never know. Some of them are reliable, some of them are not. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But
I'm not adding anything of that, no.
But I think it would be interesting to if that guy was to actually come on the channel, just to ask him, you know, when you made this back in 1982, did you ever think that it was capable of some of the stuff that we're probably going to hear tonight? You know, I mean, it's phenomenal. When you play a real early Commodore 64 game, the sound was absolutely shit, and then you listen to what they're doing now, it's just night and day, innit?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was Steve's 8-Bit Gaming did a video recently. I think it's called .Cosmo, where the game's set like it would have been made in 1983, and then there's a modern version, and you change between the two times to play the game. And with that game, not only do the graphics change to reflect the eras, also the sound changes. So you've got like a single voice chiptune playing in the early 80s part, and then you've got like a modern sounding SID tune playing in the future part. So yeah, it would be interesting, like you say. I wonder what he would make of something like that, you know, showing what he would have remembered when he was at Commodore up to what they're doing now.
Yeah. I think it depends very much on what the 64 was being used for. Because when he put it together, of course, games then, you had the occasional jingle and occasional very basic tune being played throughout. You know, you think of something like Xevious or something like that. So when he was hearing that sort of music, which frankly was fucking shit, he probably thought, yeah, this is pretty much what I had in mind, because that's what you get in gaming. No one in 82, 83 was ever going to be thinking that, you know, game music was going to sound anything like, well, use a couple of examples from the last video, you know, Miami Vice and R-Type. No one thought that was going to be the case, not back then. But he probably had an idea that it was going to be capable of doing that sort of thing if it was being used purely as a musical instrument. it just had to wait for the the composers and the people with the talent to come along. But I doubt he or indeed anybody else expected it to be within the gaming side of the 64 that we really got to hear, what the SID chip really was capable of. Especially when you consider that the SID chip is fantastic for music, but for sound effects, it's a bit tame, really. I mean, you compare the 64 to the VIC-20, just on sound, just for sound effects, not music. The VIC-20 is far better. But it's obviously it's the musical side is where the SID chip just fucking leaves not only the VIC, it leaves every other fucking 8-bit computer in the dust.
I suppose when you think about it, what you're just saying there, I mean, when the 64 essentially came out as a business machine, it was like fucking £400 when it first came out, and it'd be interesting to think if the sound had never progressed, nobody would have been any the wiser. But it's only, when it's in the hands of these incredible musicians that have just unlocked it and fucking stretched it to something that probably they never thought possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think about it, these first early games, that had like the jingles or just a bit of, the follow the green sleeves joke, just a bit of stuff like that. And then you had the Mighty Bog come along and start doing covers of like chart music and stuff like that. And then you go a step further, you've got Martin Galway doing his stuff and Rob Hubbard kicking it up another notch with stuff like Monty on the Run and Crazy Comets. And then enter, Ben Daglish, Jeroen Tel, and then all the way up to the likes of Jason Page and Markus Klein, who, well, we all know what Lukozer thinks of Markus Klein. I mean, you've the last video, I think was it Hi-Fi Sky you said was the best SID tune you have ever heard? And that's out of 50-odd thousand tunes. That's not bad going. I still stand by that. I mean, everybody, when you're going through like the particular sort of like stage of the 64's sound like evolution, you think when like, let's take, for example, when you first heard Ocean Loader 1, and you were thinking, well, this is some of the greatest computer music I've ever heard. I can't imagine it getting any better than this. And somehow it did, and it kept on doing it. So if we carry on with that sort of progression, when we get to, when Hi-Fi Sky comes along, which is so much ahead of Ocean Loader 1 that it's hard to believe it's the same fucking machine that's doing both. And then you start thinking, right, now this really is surely the top. It cannot get any better than this, but it will. And, I'll be quite keen to hear that,
When did Hi-Fi Sky come out then, Chris? What year was it released?
2015, I believe. So I'm sure, because of editing the last video, I must have heard you say it's Markus Klein 2015 about 50 times.
Now you know why my editing is A, very basic, and B, always fucking put off for as long as I can get away with,
No, I have to do what I do, otherwise my boy that showed me how to do it will be on my fucking case. Right, well then, on that note, let's start with some music. So first up, I've got a tune that was composed in 2019, come out in 2021, and that tune is the unfortunate name Spectrum by Thomas Detert. Tom, why call it Spectrum? You know what we're like. Bit of an abrupt stop, but yeah, that's Thomas Detert's first SID for, well, release time would have been 27 years, but composition was 25 years. And I did badger him a bit when I knew he was doing that. He sent me a, when it was like first started doing it, I think it was like the first 10 seconds of it, he took a video on his phone from his Commodore 64 and sent it to me in messages. It was like, hello, mate, look what I'm doing. And I was like, fucking hell. Excellent. I've been on it him ever since, and it's finally in the High Voltage SID collection. And I told him I was going to include it next time I did a SID show and run it through my twin SIDs and that. And yeah, he gave his blessing and said he was looking forward to it. So that's one that's going to be watching the video, if no one else.
No, damned impressive. I wasn't a massive fan of the tune itself, but some of the voices that he's using are just, I mean, there's that is it, I don't know what it is, I'm looking up to my speed with music. Is it the hi-hat, whatever it was? It does almost sound kind of digitized, but I mean, you know, he's a master of the SID chip, absolutely. You know, and for it to be his first tune in such a long time is just a sign of great things to come, hopefully.
Well, maybe, because he did say on social media that it was his last tune ever because of how hard it was to program it again, going back to using the 64. I don't know if he uses Cheese Cutter or Goat Track or whatever one it is he uses. because it says on DeepSeed it's in an unidentified player.
Yeah,
So
unidentified player.
It might be one of his own ones, but you know, he said it was going to be his last tune, and when I was telling him I was doing this, and I was like, really? It's going to be your last tune after the effort you put in? And he said, yeah, it is. Maybe. My kids are getting older, and, you know, as I get more time, you never know. So he didn't say no, but he hasn't said yes either. He was quite cagey about it. But, yeah, he was quite pleased for me to do this. And I think it's a really good track. And as far as comeback tracks go, yeah, I'd take that if I was him as a big round of applause from me anyway.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, it's not one of my favourites. It's got its moments. There are places in it that I think that must be a sample. But yeah, you were saying that yeah, there's no. Well, you're almost certain that there are no samples used in it. I think there might have been a bit of a playback issue, but it was with StreamYard, because in some parts it sounded like it was starting to really chug along and then sped up again. So I'm pretty sure that's a StreamYard thing. So I will certainly give it another go once the edited version has come along and we get to hear it in all its dual SID glory. But yeah, it's not one of my favourites of his, but. I mean, it's still fucking decent, you know. I mean, he's another one of those that doesn't do shit music, you know. So you can have lofty expectations with Thomas Detert's music, and he's not going to let you down. I can't help thinking that this is not going to be his last one, because yeah, the amount of effort he has clearly put into this. I don't think he's going to just leave it at that. I think I'm reasonably sure we'll hear more from him.
Oh, I do hope so. I mean, he also defies category. I remember you saying once in, I think it was one of the shows on Mamemeister's channel, that to try and categorise Thomas Detert is simply just Thomas Detert. He's his own category altogether.
Yeah, he has a lot more sort of like progressive sound to his stuff compared to any other SID composer. Well, a couple of mine that I've chosen for tonight do have some sort of like, you know, okay, only slightly but progressive elements, but nothing to the scale of this. Let alone when he was doing, you know, stuff like Gordian Tomb and stuff like that. So yeah, it's instantly recognisable purely because his style is unlike any other SID musician you've ever heard, you know, and yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah. That's one thing I should point out. I like you say, I'm 99.9% sure there was no samples in that, and I've pretty much gone for music tonight that has no samples in it. I'm fairly certain I've managed it. We'll see. But yeah, I've tried to just go with the sound of the SID tonight with no samples. So, you know, no turbo outrun or anything from me this evening. As good as that is, yeah, I've tried to steer away from the samples. So yeah, that's the first one, the return of Thomas Detert, and not a moment too soon. So I think you can go up next, Al.
Okay, right. After much debate, I've managed to narrow it down to 8. So just when that was playing, I've now got it down to 5. The first one I'm going for is called Coma Light 13, tune number 3. And it's by a chap that goes by the name of Alexander Rosk, aka Fanta.
Well, the ending was certainly different.
Yeah, take off the last utter shit 30 seconds, and I think it's a bloody impressive thing.
Ending is fucking painful listening.
But the beginning of it, why not rub it in now? The beginning of it was very reminiscent of Vangelis, and it really reminded me of something. I don't know if it was the beginning of Blade Runner or something else. There was just something about it that had a familiarity, and I liked it. I liked the slow, chilled out build up at the beginning with some of the echoey sort of sounds on it.
Yeah, it was very patchy when it was good. It was great, but there were a few areas. I think it was around the 2-minute mark when the drum track started kicking in. There was some stuff there that had me thinking that's just noise. I don't like it when composers feel it necessary to put stuff like that in there, because a lot of the time to me it sounds like what they're doing is trying to show this is what I'm capable of. Yeah. A lot of time you think, okay, yeah, you can do it. The question is, do you really want to do it? Because it doesn't fit in with the rest of it. Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was all right. You know, the good stuff there was good enough to make up for, you know, the duff stuff, apart from the unbearably shit ending. But
it did have the ending did have an air of, to quote you directly, nauseatingly cute.
Yeah, I can imagine the high score tune to bloody Rainbow Islands or some shite. But
I don't know if it was quite that bad. Sorry, Mr. Page. I know you was forced to do it.
Yeah, I do agree with Lukozer. I think sometimes people just they're trying to kind of show off and say, look, I can do this and I can do that, and there's just a bit too much. Sometimes too much isn't always better, less is sometimes better.
Yeah,
it's the good old Jurassic Park quote, isn't it? You know, just so interested in whether or not they didn't stop to think whether they should, or whatever the line is. But it does apply to that sort of thing, you know. Yeah, you could do it, you know, and yeah, I suppose to some it's impressive that you're able to do it, but it doesn't fit in. So don't do it, you know.
On the flip side, I was going to say, on the flip side of that though, Chris, if that was a tune from a demo, it does largely depend on what's going on the screen at the same time, and there's never an excuse for nauseating cuteness, but, you know, some of the sound effects and the stop-starty bits, you know, that could be, you know, there could be a screen-based reason as to why that sounds there, if it's been composed to the graphics.
Yeah, that is possible. But then that is something else that is, I think, equally as good a sign as to how good a composer is knowing when to not put something in, knowing what to leave out. Is every bit as important as knowing what sort of, you know, what you are going to do with, you know, the space there, which may seem a bit empty or that, but sometimes it's good to leave it like that. And just have something like gradually building in, like the start to this, because I thought the start was fucking great. It worked really well. So have something like that in there, you know, rather than filling it in with all these sort of like weird. Well, so that sounded more like sirens or something. Like I say, it could well have been something on screen at the time that would have fitted it. Without seeing it, I couldn't really say, but. Just listening to the audio didn't really care too much for that part.
No, but like you say, the beginning of that I thought was stellar. I really, really enjoyed that. Some of the echoing effects. I'm looking forward to smacking that through my SID chips just to see what it comes out like.
I'll be honest, I think I got about 3 minutes 45 in, and I thought, that'll do for me, and I don't think I actually listened to the last 30 seconds, but I still picked it anyway, because I think the first 3 minutes certainly make up for it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, good one, mate. Right, so that brings us to your first choice, Mr. Lukozer.
Alright, there is an air of inevitability, especially of late, that I would choose something by this bloke. So it is Jason Page, and this is his cover of the in-game music for the Amiga game Hybris.
So much like the last video, we did this your first song going down faster of a song of product. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, technically this didn't get chosen in the previous SID series because no one picked it. It was actually a bonus track. I'm going to claim this as a completely new choice. But I'm getting at a point now where I think I can identify Jason Page's SIDs even if I have the mute on, because I just have to look at the scope display and see that the SID is being put through sheer fucking hell, and thinking, oh, okay, yeah, that's got to be a Jason Page one then, because he really does give the SID a proper workout whenever he's composing on it.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he does a lot of his stuff 2 times, 4 times, 8 times, and he's actually got a video on, well, he did have, I don't know if it's still up, he had a video on YouTube of him composing something and explaining about how that works. So when you have like a 4 times SID tune, in the gap that's on the window, say, you can have 4 times the amount of notes. You've still got the same 3 channels, you can have 4 times the amount of notes in there, so whoever discovered that, it's a fucking genius.
I mean, the original version on the Amiga, the Hybris in-game music, I do think is fucking great. Was it Paul van der Valk who died of COVID? But it is. This may seem a bit ridiculous, but it is relatively simple. And I've completely lost the thread of what I was going to fucking say about that. Yeah, scrap that one for a moment. I'll try and get back on my train of thought there.
I'll give my comments when you're trying to think. Hybris is one of my favourite Amiga games. It's a good game, and the music is to fucking die for. And when that kicked in, I thought this is going to be a bit shit. And if you were to look away, that could have been the Amiga one, and I thought it's going to fall down when it gets to the guitar solo, but it never. It's so true to the Amiga one. Fucking absolutely massive kudos to Jason Page to pull that off. It's probably one of the most complete kind of SID tunes I've heard. I know it's a copy of another song, but to get that tune out of a C64 is phenomenal. Really, really impressed.
Yeah, he's a bit. I think he's a bit of a master, Jason Page, and because he's I don't know, I've met him and he's very, very softly spoken. He's a really, you know, when someone says, "Oh, he's a nice bloke," with Jason, I absolutely mean it. He really is a nice bloke. He's really humble, and he's quite happy to sit there and have a conversation. You know, at the time when I saw him, you know, he sat there and I was talking to him for a while, and he was rolled a fag up and sit there smoking, and we was having a chat. And he's just a nice bloke, and then he gets the SID to make all this noise, and it's brilliant. I rate Jason's stuff quite highly, and I mean, yeah, he's doesn't show any signs of slowing down. I think his numbered songs that he does every so often, he's up to number 15 or 16, something like that now. The first one I heard of his new stuff, I think, was 12th, but I think he must be up to about 16th by now. But yeah, he's still batting them out, and obviously he did a lot of work with Rob Hubbard on the Project Hubbard stuff with the new tunes that Rob did, you know, helping him get back into the 64 and that. So there's a lot of reasons to be thankful for Jason Page, but I'm sorry, Jay. Rainbow Islands ain't fucking one of them.
Yeah, and I'll throw Fire and Ice in there as well. Yeah, but if we overlook those two, then yeah, everything else, yeah, absolutely fine. Especially that. It was a Turrican album, was it Rise and Machine? That it was Chris Hillsbeck and Alistair Brimble, and Jason Page was then doing like SID versions of each of their compositions on that. What a threesome to have working together on one title. Chris Hillsbeck, Jason Page, Alistair Brimble, all three of them together. I mean, it's not going to fail. And it didn't. It was fucking great.
Yeah, it is good. There's some good stuff. Yeah. There's always room for Jason Page in a SID show, because you never know what you're going to get from him. You know, I know we joke about like Rainbow Islands and Fire and Ice, but that's literally, we've got this game, we need this tune, and you know, if you're a working musician, that's how you make your money. Simple tunes like that are bread and butter, aren't they? Yeah. But the stuff he does for himself, like this and like the Turric and stuff, and that, are unbelievably good tunes.
Yeah, well, I can't really enter that.
Right, well, in that case, then we'll move on to my second choice. Now, this is a guy that I'm assuming you're both going to know the name. I know Chris definitely is, and he's. I'm just going to look on this thing over here. He's a SID musician that started in about 1987-88, stopped in about 2000, did a bit in the late 2000s, and then in the from 2011 up to almost the present day, he's still going strong. When I was researching the last SID Effects album, I was trying to find loads of like Oriental tunes and that, and you know, I knew the big ones, but I was trying to see if there's any I'd missed. And there was a game, and to be fair, the game looked shit, that I'd never seen before, but the music on it belies how rubbish the game is, really. So for my next choice, we're going to go for Ninja Rabbits by Sean Connolly. And don't cringe, the music is far better than you give the credit for the title. Now, I don't know what that's got to do with ninjas and or rabbits, but I think that's a fucking great piece of music. And I think Sean Connolly is a very underrated musician, considering he hasn't really ever stopped. And I don't think I've really, to mind, can think of anything he's done that's been rubbish. You know, some are better than others. That's probably not his best ever tune. I mean, did he do Turbocharged? That had quite good music.
Yeah, that had great music in it, that one.
But yeah, I just think he's someone that's underrated. And like I say, that was, you know, we were saying earlier about, oh, you know, this is the game, this is the sort of music we want. I think with that one, he's just written a bit of music and they've said, we need something from a game called Ninja Rabbit. He's like, yeah, you can have that. Yeah, this will do. Because it didn't sound oriental ninja-y at all, but it was great. I love the bass on that.
Yeah, well, that is Sean Connolly's trademark, isn't it? He's got a very distinctive bass sound, and also the sub melody makes this stuff like instantly recognisable. Especially if you hear Turbocharged, for me that is the archetypal Sean Connolly piece. That one was a bit weird because it had so many elements that are, you know, absolutely typical of his stuff, but it did sound quite different to most Sean Connolly's that I've heard before. I have heard that one before, but obviously, I mean, look at the title of the game. No, it wasn't from playing the game. It was one of the videos that we did anyway, and I was looking through his stuff, trying to find something to put onto it. The game, so I've never even seen the game, but the title. Yeah, that guarantees I'm not going to fucking touch it with a bars pole.
Oh, so what you're saying is then Ninja Rabbits is not going to be Lukozer retro review video number 600. I'm guessing that's probably the case.
Yeah, I think you're quite safe with that prediction there. Yeah, I mean, I did Ninja Hamster, so I mean that was fucking bad enough. I ain't doing another one like that.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with Sean Connolly at all, but I thought that was good. I don't know if it was the same with you guys. The volume was really low at some points, especially the first kind of half. I was kind of struggling to hear it, but no, damned impressive. It was kind of reminded me of a kind of Hubbard track actually, which is no bad thing. Yeah, really good.
No, I think the volume is a StreamYard thing. Yeah. I mean, me and Chris have found that out of our music videos. It's meant for talking rather than playing music, so it's trying to sort of cancel things out. But yeah, you'll have to listen to it again when the video goes up.
Absolutely, I look forward to hearing that, and it's full dual siddery, glorious. Yeah, good choice.
Well, yeah, he definitely needs more recognition, I think, does Mr. Connolly.
Yeah, definitely. He's up there with, you know, one of the best. And, yeah, I would certainly go along with, he needs a bigger audience. He absolutely deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, he comes from Scotland. We won't hold that against him.
Yeah, I mean, no one's perfect, are they, you know?
Right, moving swiftly along then.
Swiftly on, yeah. Right, this next one, two familiar guys, and it's interesting when you actually see. This is you actually touched on it earlier on, Panther. This is a collab one with Mr. Rob Hubbard and Jason Page, and this is the theme tune to I think it was a Kickstarter game that came out in 2017. When you look at the graph at the bottom there, he basically started in '84. He did his last tune in '89, and then he's had about 20 years of a gap, and he's come back in 2017. So this is Rob's life.
that's another great Rob Hubbard trademark. That is. I can't really think of how to end this song. Fuck it, let's have a phaser effect at the end. More power to him for it as well.
Best end than ever. That is fantastic.
Yeah, it's better than just an abrupt stop. Which, I haven't seen the demo that the Tom Detert song was in, but that just sort of stops dead. Whereas that, at least it's got something on the end to put a finish on it.
Another classic Rob Hubbard, though. It'd be interesting to know how you actually do a collab when it's coming to writing SID tunes. It's not like one can be playing the guitar and somebody else is on the bass. I wonder how that actually works, but yeah, I think it's fantastic.
I think a great deal of the collabs he did with Jason, because they've done quite a few, all of the new Rob stuff that come out from the Project Hubbard Kickstarter. I think a lot of it was Jason helping Rob, because he'd been so long since he'd done it, he didn't have any of his discs or any of his old programs and stuff like that. I think it was more of a case of him helping Rob to get used to using a 64 again, and then, you know, little tweaks here and there on the compositions. But that's kind of how you do it. I suppose when they do SID chip collabs, I think it's more a case of they sort of batter ideas at each other. Because I know Rob did a lot of his stuff on piano before he started converting it into SID music. So if you're sat at a piano and there's someone in the room with you helping you compose, you can be like, well, that note chord structure, whatever, didn't work. Why don't you try this? And they come over and tinkle the ivories and throw ideas at each other like that until something becomes cohesive. I'd imagine. I'm not a musician, but that's how I'd imagine that sort of thing would happen. Chris?
I'm guessing so, yeah. Yeah, I've heard that one quite a few times, actually. It's not bad. It's not up there with his best, but there's something about it that really irritates me, and it's nothing to do with anything that Rob Hubbard or Jason Page did. I remember, actually, I don't know if it was this one or if it was another one that came along, and it was the first time he had done anything for, you can see there, nearly 30 years. And I would read people saying stuff like, oh, I expected more from it. It just sounds like every other Rob Hubbard piece. And I thought, well, hang on. He is possibly the most popular SID musician there has ever been. Everyone raves about his stuff, so how can you now suddenly say the fact that it sounds like, you know, a typical Rob Hubbard piece of music is now suddenly not good enough? You know, what the fuck are you smoking? Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Yes, it does sound a lot like, Rob's typical stuff, which is possibly the number one reason why it sounds fucking good. You know.
Oh, you get it everywhere, mate. Don't you remember me telling you when I bought the new AC/DC album a year or so ago?
Yeah.
And, I went on to Amazon. And I thought, oh, it's got some reviews already from people that have got a digital version. I scrolled down, and the first person that reviewed AC/DC's latest album gave it 1 star because it sounds just like AC/DC's other stuff. What was you fucking expecting? Every one of their albums sounds like it.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. When you read comments like that, it's obvious. Okay, you're complaining for the sake of complaining. I know that I have a reputation for, you know, complaining about everything. And it is quite well founded, but I always have a reason for it. I don't just say, "Oh, it's just shit," because it is, you know. So, yeah, complaining that this isn't, you know, very good because it sounds like all of Rob Hubbard's other stuff, which is fucking great. Yeah, that's moronic.
And then some. Oh, you have to laugh, don't you? It just makes you feel better in life that no matter how much of a cunt you are, there's always a bigger cunt round the corner.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh dear.
Has anyone played the game? I've never actually. Have you got it, Panther? Have you played it?
I've got it. It's kind of a collector map, I think. I'm trying to... I get that and the game Sizzler confused because they kind of come out at the same time. Well, I think
And they
originally that piece of music was called something like Casio, and they renamed it when they borrowed it for the game, sort of thing. Possibly, I could be wrong. It might not be that one, but it has got another name as well, but I can't remember offhand.
Always good to see a new Rob Hubbard track for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, no argument from me. I mean, I think he done about 15 or 16 of them in 2019. So yeah, it's all good stuff. Naturally, I've recorded all of them for him. Well, I did all of his other stuff, so when they come out, it's like, could you? Yes, of course I can. All right, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling that is not the last we'll be hearing of Mr. Hubbard, but for now, we've brought out quite a few of the big guns already. So let's bring out another one. Jeroen Tel. This is the in-game music for Eliminator.
well, we mentioned earlier on about people having really good bass lines.
Yeah.
Oh, JT.
Yeah. I mean, that is my favourite Jeroen Tel piece of music, and it is entirely the bass and percussion track there. I could quite easily listen to that with the main melody muted. Yeah, it just sounds so fucking good. You remember when we did the progressive music video, and I chose Roundabout by Yes, and it was like the really prominent bass line that everyone liked in that. I mean, he's done exactly the same thing here with this one. He's made the bass line as much a prominent lead part as the actual main melody itself is.
Yeah, I'll never get tired of listening to Jeroen's music. He's
Yeah.
I mean, he's done some stuff in the last 10 years. He's done some collabs with Markus, Klein. Some of them, they're well worth a listen as well. They are, under the Maniacs of Noise moniker and that. But he's just one of them musicians. I mean, I've spoke a lot about him before. He can talk for Holland as well. I can tell you that much. If you want to have a conversation, I mean, occasionally he'll phone me up. He phoned me up last weekend while me and the missus were watching Stranger Things, and I said, "Oh, Jeroen's phoning." She went, "Well, do you want to take the call and pause this?" I went, "Do you want to watch the end of this episode in 3 hours?" She went, "Oh no, maybe not then." But it's not a chore to talk to him. He's a very interesting man. He's always got something to say, and he's as funny as fuck as well. Talking to him on the phone is a giggle. I've got to try and get him on one of these shows at some point, whether he'll remember to turn up or not.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've listened to a lot of good musicians tonight and previous SID shows, but he's just like the Rolls Royce of SID musicians. I mean, I was sitting listening to that tune, and I was looking away from the screen, and I was just enjoying a piece of music. I'd actually kind of forgot I was listening to a Commodore 64. He's so good. He's you're going to get a good SID tune from him. It's flawless, really nice one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I do like the Turbo Outrun music, but there was a period where he relied a lot on samples, and they kind of overtook the sound of the SID a bit. They're still good, and they're very well programmed and composed piece of music. But he like with that bass and percussion on that, the boy doesn't need samples. It's as good as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Turbo Outrun musically, or the game either, but I wouldn't say it was shit, because I've said it countless times. Jeroen Tel does not do shit music at all. He doesn't do anything that even comes close to approaching it. But yeah, I'm not so big on Turbo Outrun. For a start, it's a cover, and I think was it Magical Sound Shower was the one that he did. I think that's actually the weakest piece of music in Outrun. And then there's too many samples in it for my taste. So. But that's probably about the only one I could say of his on the 64 that I don't really rate. If you're going to include other things, I'm not keen on the music that he did for the first level of Agony on the Amiga. That was too jarring, and that. The rest of that soundtrack is fucking great, especially the title music. But the first level is a bit much.
Well,
they are about the only two.
Yeah, I've just discovered you'd hate playing Outrun with me then, because Magical Sound Shower is by far my favourite piece on that game. So.
No. I mean, I know the titles, but I can never remember which piece is which title. So, I know which one is my favourite, but don't ask me what it's called.
I think Magical Sound Shower, that's the kind of most famous one, isn't it? I think that's the kind of the iconic one, if I remember rightly. But
yeah, I suppose it is. It's the one it's the liveliest one in it, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the one I normally choose. But then, you know, I know we're getting off the subject a bit here, but I like all of the music from Outrun. I think the sound that they had in the was it the System 16 or 32 boards they had for Outrun and games of that time. Well,
I don't know about audio wise. Yeah, I don't know what they were using in that.
But like, you know, the Sega chips of that time did produce some good music. All right, you know,
there's some great music in the games. Yeah, a lot of the time the music is by far the best thing about it, because a lot of the games, let's face it, Outrun is one of them. They were quite forgettable. Yeah. But music-wise, yeah, they were great. But yeah, we are rather straying off topic a bit.
Before we stray back, though, I do have to say, and I think you said it before in one of your videos, Chris, as much as I like the Space Harrier music, it is Disco Blake 7.
It is, yeah, it's Disco Blake 7. There's no getting away from it, yeah.
Right then, getting back to SIDS then. Right, the next one I'm going to do, I want you to bear in mind that the guy that done this is 10 years younger than me and you, Chris, so he's about 80 years younger than Alan.
Yeah.
He's been doing... he started doing SIDS in 2020, from what I can see on Deep SID, and this is a SID from 2021. This guy's name is Sami Yuntunen. I've probably butchered that, and I'll probably butcher his handle, which is Mutatus or Mutius. This song's called Scab-a-Dabba. Now, I heard this, and I'll put a link down in the description. I heard this, I believe, on my friend Max Hall's SID Show on Radio Free Matlock that he does once a month. And it just really, really stuck out to me. I mean, I don't know what Scab-a-Dabba means. It's probably Finnish for something. We'll find out. But yeah, see what you reckon to a relatively newcomer to the SID scene. I think it's great. Now, there's certain parts of that song I think have got no right to only be on 3 channels. There's so much going on.
There were parts of that to me sounded unfinished, and the fact that there is a version 2 underneath it suggests that, yeah, it was, and it was still being worked on. It also sounds to me like he's very new to the scene. He's only somewhat recently begun using the SID chip. Some of his choice of sounds were a bit too basic, I think, but he's definitely getting there, and they are more in like the first half of the song. Once it actually as it progresses, you're also hearing like a progression in how good he's getting at editing the sound and tweaking the sound so that it doesn't sound quite so basic. I know there will be some people out there who will say that the chord progression that he's using is cliched. I don't think it's cliched. He's used a lot, but there's a reason why it's used a lot. It always sounds good. I've never heard that chord progression used in any piece of music, and it's not sounding good. So it's a great choice there. It does sound like this is one that he's just starting, but he's onto something here. This could be something a bit special.
I'm not sure. Go on now.
Sorry, Panther. I was going to say I enjoyed it. As Lukozer says, there's wee bits that were quite weak, and some of the kind of voices are a wee bit kind of early, kind of C64. But you could tell he was just experimenting with a lot of different voices, and I thought it ended really well. The beat in the back was very kind of Night Rider-ish, I thought. But I mean, for a guy that's just kind of kicking off with his SID making, I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on for sure. I quite enjoyed it actually.
Yeah, well, he's certainly better than I am. But yeah, I'm not sure what the difference is with the V2 version. I'm sure I played them both, and they were very similar. And I just went with the one that I knew from hearing it on my friend's music show. But yeah, that was it. It was just I thought I'd throw someone in that is relatively new. I mean, like it says on there, he joined the group Onslaught in 2020, and I don't know which order them dates are in, whether it's the American or the British order. So it was either September or December in 2020. So he's about a year and a half into his stuff, and he does music for demos. So
I'm just looking. Is that his birthday up there? He's actually younger than the Commodore 64. So there you go.
yeah, or the younger or the same age. Yeah. Just a pup. But yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to chuck someone completely new out there for this one. It's definitely worth having a look through the tunes he's done. I mean, he's another one that's chucking out one a month or whatever, one a week. No, it's probably about one a month. I'm not sure how many tunes he's done now, but it's he's not stopping. Let's put it that way.
I wonder what would actually encourage somebody of a young age like that to actually get involved in the Commodore 64, because he was. There must be synthesizers out there, and they could be using more up to date kind of music. But it's interesting that guys like that get involved in the SID scene. It's good to have, it's good to see.
Yeah, I
young blood coming through.
I know the man in question's a little bit older, but we are.
You about to say about Richard Bayliss?
Yeah, me and Chris asked that question of Richard Bayliss, and the reason Richard Bayliss, he answered me on Facebook, not on YouTube. The reason he was doing the 64 in the 90s is because he couldn't afford to get an Amiga, so he got a Commodore 64 instead, and started doing the music on that, and now he's done more music than anybody else.
Just a pity he's never done any cover versions of Jean-Michel Jarre, but anyway. I'm
still expecting that to appear.
I'm I'm not with you. You trying to tell me that Richard Bayliss has done a jar cover?
Next thing you'll be telling us Jeroen Tel's done Gold Nags.
So I'll have to track that down. I've never heard such a thing.
You'll not have to wait long anyway, don't worry.
Right, well now, you're up next, mate.
Okay, right, bringing it back to somebody that we're familiar with, especially Mr. L. This is a track by Markus Klein, and it came out in 2015, and it's called Fantasmaltic, tune number 4. It's quite a short one as well, so...
I sometimes find it hard to believe it's a Commodore 64 that Markus Klein uses. I really do. The sounds he gets out of here.
That's ridiculous.
It's clearly using the same technique that he was talking about with Hi-Fi Sky. And now that I actually know what it is he's doing, even though you can see the scope still going away for everything that's playing, you can now spot where, I mean, with this one it was a bit obvious where samples were being used. But I mean, he never fails to deliver, does he? I mean, fucking hell. Yeah, of course he's great, you know. I can't believe anyone would say it was anything else, you know. He's just always on it.
It's going to be a complete pig to record, though. I can see that one being another one where I'll have a 6581 in the left channel, an 8580 in the right, and I'm going to have to put a quiet 8580 under the left channel, because if you've ever, I mean, Chris did a video where he compared 6581 and 8580 on Hi-Fi Sky, and because Markus tends to use the 8580, a lot of the sounds do not come out the 6581 because of the difference in the chips. So I'm gonna have to fuck about to record that one. So the one that all you lovely listeners have just heard was a fucking headache for me. I can see it coming.
Sorry, mate.
No, you're fucking not. But yeah,
no, not really.
No, I really do.
Yeah.
I love Markus's music. It's so clever. It's so well produced. It's so well composed, and the fact he gets that out of a Commodore 64 is like voodoo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, I can't really add to it.
All right, fair enough. Well, then we'll move on from Markus Klein to whatever you've got lined up next then, Chris.
Right, well, this is quite a contrast. We've had quite a few recent SIDs with some very sort of like prominent percussion. Well, this has no percussion at all, and it is quite an old one, going back to 1984, and this is the piece of music that, for me, it showed me, okay, this computer is not just going to be doing jingles. There's more to Commodore 64 audio than I thought. And this is the moment when I found out. So it's Paul Clancy, and it's Alien.
although that was a really basic game, Alien, the fact that you were trying to find that alien with that music was enough to scare the bejesus out of you when you was a kid.
It was a great game. That music is, every time I hear it, it just brings loads of memories flooding back. But yeah, that was a real watershed moment for me on the 64. I mean, up until then, yeah, we'd had lots of jingles. We'd even had some, like, you know, reasonably okay-ish music, but nothing like this. And this was done just using 2 channels. And there's no percussion, no bass, but it just sounds so fucking good. It's clearly using a lot of filters, and I don't know if the version that is going to be edited into this, and the version that's just been heard in the video, is going to be like this one on the Deep Sid site here, but it sounds noticeably different compared to when you play it in the SID Play. Remember when we did I think it was the second SID show, and I chose this one. That one, I think we were using SID Play then, and there's a notable difference between that and this one. This one here sounds much more like it did on my 64 when I had the game. So when I was going through thinking, right, okay, what should I choose? And I thought, oh yeah, I do really like Alien. I loaded it up. And when I heard it sound like this, it's just so much better than it sounds in SID Play. I just thought, yeah, I've got to include this again.
Yeah, me and Colin were talking. Colin Jones, we were talking about this music because someone was going to buy a Mr. FPGA, and they wanted to know what the SID stuff was like. And someone suggested putting Alien on there because of the filters. You really get an idea of how well the chip is emulated. Mm. And so we did a comparison. We done Vice. We done the Mister, and we done a recording from my dual SID setups. Vice and the Mister are pretty much bang on the same, but neither of them compared to the real SID chips for those fucking filter usages. Yeah. That was in your Discord, weren't it, Al? You saw that as well.
I think I did. But that was a game I bought. I think it was Argus Press brought it out, and it was a big fuck off box, huge box. Yeah, and I remember loading it and being really disappointed. It just looked so basic. But the tune, I mean, it was a theme tune. All you could see was the egg, and you just had this bum, bum, bum. And that was, I mean, at that point, I didn't know how to play the game. Surprise, surprise. And I kind of gave up with it. But I used to wait the 30-odd minutes for it to load just to listen to the tune. And I think, Lukozer, I think you did a playthrough on it, and I've played it. I think it was one of the videos we did, and I've since played it, and I kind of understand how to play it now. But I didn't back in the day. But I just used to load it for that. It was, yeah, as you say, everything that came before that, and even probably a year, well, maybe not a year, 6 months after, it was shit. But that was yeah, just impressive. It really fitted the game perfectly. You couldn't get a better kind of sounding tune for an alien game.
Uh-huh.
I put Paul Clancy as a composer. He didn't do much, as you can see. He's just a couple of years worth. I put him in the same level of composer category as I do Paul Norman. Forbidden Forest, Aztec Challenge and stuff like that. I think their stuff is very similar in the way it's made. I don't know if that's because, Paul Clancy's English. I think Paul Norman's American. Yeah. But it's early sound of people trying to do something different with the SID, like you were saying, like a watershed moment. I mean, you'd never heard filters like that. I mean, for me, it came along a bit later because I didn't get my 64 to like 85, 86. But I remember loading this up, and even though I'd heard some of Martin Galway's stuff and some of Rob's stuff, I hadn't heard anything like that with the filters, and I didn't even know what filters were, and it was just the Commodore making this noise out of my telly that I could not believe. It was unbelievable. and it's such a striking piece. And it's another one that I think is overlooked because it doesn't have all the bells on the whistles, but it don't fucking need them. It's got every bell and whistle it needs in them filters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking excellent. Good choice.
Yeah, just atmosphere. And the same with Paul Norman stuff. His stuff was quite simple, but absolutely nailed it for the game. Really atmospheric.
Yeah, nice one. Good, really good choice. I'm a big fan of that piece because it's one of the ones that when I had all my computer set up downstairs running through a Sony surround system. That was one of the early recordings I did where it was like just blasting out of the rear speakers behind me. I was like, fucking what? What is this?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really good. Well, I'm actually going to take a trip away from the 21st century, and I'm going to go back to 1988 for my next one. And I'm not sure if this was a game. I only know the piece of music because I've got a mate called Stacey Bates that asked me if I'd record it for him in Dual SID. And when I was going through some of the stuff I'd already recorded, I couldn't remember what it was called. I had to listen to loads of tunes to find it. And yeah, this is another one that I think's got a good bass line, and it's a piece that's it's quite repetitive, but it's got a good enough tune to carry it off, I think. And the tune is Nexion by the no longer with us, may he rest in peace, Edwin Van Santen. I like it. See what you reckon. It's subtune number 2 for those that want to listen to it on a real machine themselves. having listened to them close together, I think if someone played me that, I'd question as to whether or not that was Sean Connolly.
I was just going to say exactly the same thing. If I'd heard that and not known who it was, I'd have sworn blind that was a Sean Connolly piece. I mean, I'm not familiar with the name. I'm not familiar with the title either. But yeah, that was great stuff. But yeah, I'd have sworn that was Sean Connolly.
I hadn't picked up on that at all while I was doing these, but actually listening to them like within sort of like half hour of each other, it's like, blimey, that really sounds like Sean Connolly.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing.
I'd say that's no bad thing at all. No.
Yeah, no, impressive. So with Sean Connolly, he's obviously, did he start making SID tunes after Edwin then, did he? Do you know?
I think they sort of
started
about the same
yeah.
time.
All right, I was going to say possibly Sean's been influenced with this guy, but yeah, lovely wee tune. Kind of well-rounded and fun to listen to. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'll say I don't know where it comes from. I mean, looking at the copyright saying it's 20th century composers, I'm just going to assume that it's like from a demo. Where it actually says game on the list there. It says demo, game, jingle, reverb. So
yeah, I mean it's ticked every single box. You get the impression they don't know either. So they just thought, fuck it, let's say everything will be right on at least one. I was going to say, what I like about this sort of music is if you're going to have a really prominent main melody, it's got to be one that is really good, because I've heard so many where they have this like really sort of like, well, I wouldn't say like really like loud or whatever, but you know the main melody really stands out, but it sounds like shit and it ruins the song. So this is where when you get it right, this really shows that you have to have the ability to write music as well as make use of the SID, and clearly he was able to do both.
Yeah, shame he's no longer with us. Mind you,
yeah, absolutely. Just a young man as well.
Yeah. These things happen. Cancer doesn't respect anybody, does it? Let's be honest. Yeah. So that was my fourth choice of the evening, which brings us round to you, Al.
Okay, this next one is very, very familiar. It's actually a theme tune to a popular BBC science fiction thing called Doctor Who. It came out in 2011, and it's by a chap who goes by the name of Peter Holt. Peter Holt, I should say. That's right on.
think I better say something before Chris does. I get the feeling he's going to tear this one a new arsehole. Right, that's not the best rendition of Doctor Who theme I've ever heard, but the thing I liked about that, when you said the date of it, I thought, oh god, they're gonna do one of the new Doctor Who tunes. But he didn't. What he's done now is he's done a cover version, but he's done it in his own style rather than trying to do Peter Holt, Delia Derbyshire or Murray Gold or whoever the latest bloke is. He's done his own version. So I'll give him massive props for that rather than trying to cover one of the originals. He's put his own spin on it. Off you go, Chris.
If it sounds like any of the previous ones, it's the Peter Holt one. I think it sounds closest to. It started off really good because when you said it's going to be the Doctor Who theme, I was thinking, fucking hell, you are taking a big risk here because you've got two big, lifelong Doctor Who fans here. It's got to be good for it to, survive this. And it started off well, but then when we got to like the fifth loop of the like bridge part, I'm thinking, fucking come on! It only needed to play that bit once and then go back to the main theme again, but it just kept looping that bit over and over. I was like, oh fucking no, and it ruined it. If it hadn't done that, it would have been all right, but it did. It ruined it for me.
I agree with you. I mean, when I first played it, I just thought that it's impressive, the very start of it. But as you say, they should have looked back to the start of it halfway through, but this kind of kept playing the sort of the second part over and over again. Perhaps if it had been more than 2 minutes and 15 2 minutes and 15 seconds, he could have put it back in. So I think the actual composition was good. The arrangement was maybe needs a bit of work, but I thought it was quite a good rendition. And it's interesting you're saying, Panther, there's better versions. I did a wee search in Doctor Who, and that was kind of my favourite one.
Well, I didn't necessarily mean SID versions. I meant.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah.
I've heard different covers of Doctor Who over the years. I mean, for me, the Peter Holt theme from the early 80s, basically it was Peter Davidson's theme after Tom Baker had it for a year. That, for me, is the ultimate Doctor, because I remember that being in the charts when I was a kid. And I've heard a lot of covers and stuff like that. But yeah, well, everyone's got their personal favourite, ain't they?
Yeah. The Patrick Troughton era, that for me is the ultimate theme.
Yeah, well, I knew you weren't going to say
John Pertwee myself.
No, that's the same tune, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I knew you weren't going to say Colin Baker or Bleeding Sylvester McCoy.
Well, I mean, of course, Colin Baker originally, it was just the Peter Holt one, and then along came, was it Trial of a Time Lord? And it was like, what the fuck have they done to it? Yeah. It was interesting, I suppose, but yeah.
Yeah, no, there used to be a website, and I can't remember the name of it now, but they used to have people uploading their own versions of Doctor Who. So you had everything from like synthesized and some really good like rock ones where people have got the middle 8-bit they kept looping, and the actual I don't know how you describe them, the ooey-oo bits. Done on lead guitar, so they sounded good. But then you'd also go on there and someone's done a reggae version, a ska version, a pop version. Now, every musical genre you can imagine. And some of them were good and some of them were like, oh, Christ. And this was a cut above a lot of what I've heard on that website. So it's not all bad. It's not all doom and gloom. But yeah, he did repeat the middle 8 far too many times.
Yeah,
every time it started again, I was looking at the bottom screen. I was watching Chris go, like that.
I knew I was taking a risk, but I thought I'll get it out there.
Well, it had the entertainment value anyway, but most of that was from Lukozer. Yeah, I've heard worse. But like Chris said, it did start off really well, and I thought, this sounds promising. And then it went into like the middle 8, and I thought, yeah, not bad. And then it did it again, and that's when I started watching. That's when I started watching Chris after that. Oh, good stuff. Well, that brings us back round to you, Chris.
Right, okay. Yeah, and like a fucking idiot, I forgot to set my next one up. Right, it's
He was enjoying
quickly,
that last too much.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Right. So this is one that amazingly has never been played in any of our SID shows before. Well, it's amazing for me because I have been revisiting it a bit. So this is Mr. Hubbard. This is it's a piece that's actually a lot longer than a lot of people seem to realise it is. So this is the music for Starfall. There we go.
That is quite a long one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, even though it was my choice, it didn't need to be as long as that. They could have cut it down to about 6 minutes. It wouldn't have really been any different, Italy, if you ask me, but...
I think it's a classic example of a good tune in a shit game. I mean, I've heard of the game, I've never played it, and probably not many people have played it, and it's probably one of these tunes that's been completely overlooked because of that.
I fucking bought the game back in the day on the strength that I knew that Rob Hubbard had done the soundtrack. And it was shit as well.
I wouldn't go so far as to say the game was shit. The big problem with it is, and it's the problem that affects all sort of light-hearted or sort of like comedy games, they rely so much on the novelty value, and once the novelty wears off, that's it, the game's done with. You know, you're not going to go anywhere near it again. It was also quite frustrating. So, yeah, I do think it is a piece of music of his that does get overlooked a lot, and I think it is because it was used in a game that was not very memorable.
Was the main character a dog with a space helmet on or something?
Yeah.
I think I can remember seeing pictures of it.
That's some bloody good parallax scrolling, though. You got to give it that. It was demo and a good game.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like visually, it did look good, and audibly, it was fucking great. But yeah, the gameplay wasn't there. It was a bit like that Palace Software game, Rim Runner. It looked great, but the gameplay was absolute fucking horseshit.
If anyone watching this wants to have a laugh, if I remember, I'll link it in the top. Chris has done a fucking good review of that on his channel. If you want to watch someone getting frustrated, go and watch that.
Is that Rim Runner?
Yeah.
I'm sure I saw an adult film called that as well, right enough. But anyway, that's for another video.
Not one on my bloody channel, it ain't. I mean, it's a nice offer, Al, but no.
I think I did buy that, actually, yeah. I did buy that one from yeah.
Are you talking about the game now?
I was going to say, what, the film? Yeah. You opened that door, we were not going to turn down a chance of using that one against you.
I quite enjoyed it. I mean, I think, it did start to repeat itself, but,
Are we still talking about the film here?
We're back to the game again. Yeah, we're back to the game again. I mean, it did go on a wee bit. It was quite repetitive, but, it's in a game, so you don't want a 30-second loop constantly going over, but I enjoyed it. I was getting into it the more it kind of went on.
I think that was definitely done with the same sound engine or setup as All Feed Zane Monty. It had very similar kind of drum beats going on and that. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's a great track.
No.
When did the game come out? Was that
1987, yeah.
It's quite a late, a late game for me, I suppose. But
he was, I think he was getting into his, big, really long tracks, because we'd already had International Karate, and I think in '87 that was when he also did what was that really fucking shit game? That's it, yeah. You knew the one I meant, yeah. He did the soundtrack to that, Knuckle Busters.
Oh fuck, that's
yeah.
Even the game is completely unplayable. It's just...
the game is absolute fucking bollocks from start to finish, but the music is fantastic in it.
Yeah, guess who bought that game on the day of release because of Rob Hubbard doing the music?
Suddenly me buying all these Ocean games that were a load of shit, it doesn't seem quite so bad,
Well, I've never had to own up before, have I? Because we haven't covered the subject. I didn't buy Starfall, though, but I did have a dodgy copy of it. But that's the thing. You saw a review in Zap. If they gave the music like over 90% and said a great Rob Hubbard, Martin Galway, Ben Daglish, David Whittaker soundtrack, you'd be like, well, it's only like $8.99. It might be worth picking that up for the music, if nothing else.
That's definitely what I was like. The example I usually give is Miami Vice. I bought it having not read any reviews. I think I got it. It was either the day of release, but it was certainly the week of release. So I got it, and of course the music fucking blew me away. And then the next issue of Zap came out, and they reviewed it, and quite rightly, they said the game was absolute horseshit, but they said the music was phenomenal. I think they gave the music 98%. And at the end of the review, they said, the music is fantastic, but are you really going to spend 10 quid on a game just for some great music? Yes, and I did, frequently.
Didn't you try to play Knuckle Busters in a recent video? One of your Sunday ones.
I did. I played it. I tried to play it. Yeah, it was fucking some of the worst games ever, and it's just fucking garbage. The minute you start, somebody's on your tail, and you're trying to run, and they just stuck to you, and then you shoot them, you punch them, and then another one's there. It's utter, completely, it's total broken game. Absolutely
that was one
shit.
of the games. I remember at the time I had a quick shot too, and the main piece of music, like the 17-minute piece of music in Knuckle Busters, is the in-game music. And I used to stick my quick shot to my desk, and I had a little hook for like hanging headphones and stuff on. I used to get a rubber band on that, put it round the quick shot so it was left, and then I just continually run so I could listen to the whole of the music. Because I didn't have SID players and things like that at the time. I only had like a tape deck. So yeah, what a shit game that was. Yeah, Star Paws is better than Knuckle Busters by a considerable distance. It is playable.
Yeah. But it being better than Knuckle Busters, I mean, that started with a very low bar indeed there.
Yeah, but, in the same breath, Knuckle Busters is better than Hercules.
Yeah, I'll certainly give it that. Fucking hell.
Oh dear, no, good choice, mate. You're right. That is a song that does get overlooked, and probably, like you say, because it is attached to a game that wasn't that popular.
Yeah.
Right. Well, for my it's number 5, my last choice of tonight, I'm going to flip forward to 2017, and I'm going to do It's a song from a demo, but it's a remake of a song by an artist called Peter Holt, who went by the name Brightlight. But the version I've got is Starfall remix by a guy from Finland called Antti Hannula, who also goes by the name of Flex. And he's been doing SIDs for a few years. I mean, if I scroll the graph up, no one else can see it, but we can. You can see, he's been pretty prolific. Late 80s, early 90s, had a bit of a break. And then from like 2009 up until the present day, he's been bashing stuff out. I think he's pretty good. So we'll have a Starfall remix. See what you think of this one. I'd like to know how, without any samples whatsoever, he manages to get a deep bass drum sound like that.
That was good. That was
that was the thing that stood out about it for me. I think it was being used in place of a snare, but it was clearly like a much deeper sound. It was much more like a bass drum, kick drum, whatever. But that really gave the song some bollocks, didn't it? That was good stuff. That I like that.
Yeah, he's another artist, Flex, who's worth checking out. I think I've featured one of his songs before. That was another remake of an old SID. I don't know if that's his thing, but that's 2 for 2 on SID shows we've done, the three of us. But he's definitely worth flicking through his selection of tunes. I mean, he does a wide range. And only that, he's got a very sensible beard and haircut as well, if I do say so myself.
Separated at birth. That was good. And the drum beat was kind of standout part. But again, it's just another one of these tunes I was listening to. I was looking away and just enjoying it for the piece of music that it was. It was really, really good.
Yeah, it's another one that you'll definitely want to come back to when I've edited all this together, because the lead parts in that, like the more arpeggio parts, they sound really good through twin SIDs. I've really got a nice bit of echo to them, so that's always a bonus. Now, it kind of it's weird doing the dual SID stuff, because I'm using 2 different iterations of the chip SID. But the differences are enough that they don't ever go out of time. But you can kind of hear more. Now there was some website did a review of the first ever SID Effects album I did, and the guy that was reviewing it, I think he was talking about Monty on the Run. He was saying with the 2 SID chips, the voices don't seem to trip each other up as much. So there's bits that he could hear that he couldn't hear because he was reviewing it. He was comparing what was coming out of his Commodore 64 to what I'd recorded. So it's kind of weird. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I work in a fucking factory. I don't know how it works, but it just fucking works. So yeah, when I've edited that one in, this one is definitely worth a revisit because it sounds really fucking good. Because I've already recorded the ones I chose. All right, that brings us on to your last one then, mate.
Right, my fifth and last tune. He's already been featured multiple times tonight. It's by a certain Mr. Jason Page. Came out in 2015 and it's called 8th.
See that with something like that, that is what I would call something that Lukozer come up with, which is Markus Klein syndrome. So much so that he made a video, because I don't think he completely believed me, that Hi-Fi Sky come out of a Commodore 64. And even though I know it is, because I know what Jason can do, how the fuck was some of that noise coming out of a Commodore 64? Because Jason doesn't tend to use samples either.
And that's only 9K. So I'm guessing there's no samples in that one. I just think that's fucking brilliant. Actually, I think it's a kind of tune you could put on in a rock disco, and you could be pissed at your head. You could just be jumping up and down, pogoing to that. It's fucking brilliant. It wouldn't sound out of place in Ibiza or something. It's fucking brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, I think you kind of summed up what I was thinking right there when you said it wouldn't sound out of place in Ibiza. Trouble is, for me, that's not a good thing. From a technical point of view, it's your archetypal Jason Page. It's just fucking. Yeah, you can't believe he's able to get that out of a relatively simple 8-bit computer. The actual music itself, it was a bit too sort of ravey, dancey for my tastes. So I find with his numbered stuff, that does tend to happen quite a bit. When it's his pieces of music that are just numbered, I don't tend to enjoy them quite so much as the actual titled pieces. So from a technical point of view, yeah, great. But as far as musically, it's not my thing.
No, I mean I don't tend to listen to that sort of music unless it comes out of a SID chip. So for me, it's like the complete opposite. I would never listen to anything like that, but coming out of a SID chip,
aye,
because I think I'm kind of like Chris was touching on there. I'm kind of blown away by the technical aspect of it, and I listen to it more in disbelief than take notice of the style of music that's being played. I think with Jason's numbered stuff, they're all very different as well. I think the first piece I played that you did like was it, I don't know if it was 9th, 10th or 11th. It might have been 13th. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
But that one was more of a sort of a standard sort of SID tune, whereas this one is a lot of his numbered stuff I think is experimental.
Well, it would explain why it is just numbered. It could well be, yeah, he's trying something new to see if it works or not. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. For this one, musically at least, anyway, for me it didn't.
Yeah, I liked it anyway. Would I listen to that sort of music if it wasn't done with a SID chip? No. But
no, I'm exactly the same. Yeah.
But because it is, it's like you get all these big name like fucking DJs that do all this stuff in Ibiza and all these Euro like dance things. It's like, well, I know a bloke who's in his how old's Jason Page? 51 or something.
Our age, isn't he?
Yeah, I know a bloke who's 50 who can do that music with an 8-bit computer. So your talent is not as great as his. So yeah, look at it from that point of view. But yeah, no, I do tend to follow Jason's stuff. I am friends with him on Facebook, and he does post stuff into some of the SID music groups. So I kind of get to see it as it comes out, and it's like, oh, what's he done this time? So it's always a little bit of discovery, because you never know what Jason's going to do next. And I think that's what I do like about his music, and why I can ignore some of the genres I wouldn't normally listen to. And that's not just me being diplomatic. That is genuinely the truth. I will give it a try. Yeah, like you say, it can be hit or miss.
I did used to do that. I would listen to music that normally I wouldn't go anywhere near. Back in the Amiga days, I've told you about this several times. I had hundreds of Amiga music and public domain demo discs. And musically, I the vast majority I thought were fucking great, and I'd sit there and listen to it, no problem. But a lot of the time, it would be something along these sort of lines, but because it was coming out of Amiga, I appreciate it more than if it had been, on a CD or whatever. So back then, I was probably a bit more sort of forgiving than I am now. I'm sure you find that hard to believe, eh?
Shocker.
But I love the grungy kind of bass, the real hard hitting. That was my favourite part of it. It starts off like that and it kind of ends with that as well. Yeah, there was a bit. I'm not into trance music, whatever, but it was kind of like a, but not heavy metal, but it was kind of very kind of like an anthem type thing that you would see folk going like that with the fucking dummies or whatever the fuck it is they wear now. I don't know, popping their pills and all that kind of shit. But it's just as you guys have said, I'm not into that kind of music, but sitting and listening to stuff that's coming out of Commodore 64, I just appreciate. Wow, how the fuck,
Yeah. I think that is the biggest thing with if it is music that you don't normally listen to, then yeah, it does have that sort of factor to it. But he's a talented man, regardless. How he gets his hi-hats to sound like that, I've watched videos of him doing it, and I still don't fucking know.
And listening to a kind of that was quite an angry bit of music coming from a very mild-mannered guy like Jason. You're saying he's very quiet and,
Well, I've only met him the once. That's how he come across to me. But yeah, he's like, if you say to him, "Oh yeah, I really like that piece of music you do," he's like very like, "Oh thanks, I really appreciate you saying that. It's just really nice to get feedback." And he's that kind of guy. He is a genuinely nice fella. Which brings us on to the last one last but one. I'm going to play out a bit of music, otherwise it wouldn't be one of my videos. But
yeah.
What you got for us, Chris?
All right. I'm amazed this name hasn't appeared until now. In the last vid, you were trying to guess what one of my choices were. You narrowed it down to 2. You did get it right. This is the other one. Here we go.
Nothing wrong with a bit of that.
Now, I do find that because it's played at a very different tempo, plus of course there's no percussion there, it doesn't sound that much like the park. I mean, you can clearly hear the melodies there. You know, it is using the actual piece, but it's slowed down. And that start, which I fucking love the start of this, what I call heavy electronica. It's like he's taken a comparatively later piece of music from Tangerine Dream, but made it sound more like it would have done if they'd done it in their earlier days. And then I just think it sounds fucking great. But it is those first couple of minutes in particular that really stand out for me. I fucking love the start to this.
So is that based on another piece in Lukozer, yeah?
Yeah, I should say, yeah, it's Street Hawk. He did write it for the game, and the game never appeared, but so it is the Street Hawk theme. Sort of.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed that. I must admit, I think that's the first time I've ever heard it. It's very melodic. It's great. Nice to see somebody who's fucking older than me as well. 1966, what the hell. But I enjoyed that. First time I've heard that. Did that game come out, Street Hawk?
Not for the 64, it didn't.
So that piece of music probably never actually got an actual public airing then until now.
Well, there was a public domain fake Street Hawk.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah. That used, was it Ocean Loader 1, the music it used for that? It didn't have this in it.
Yeah.
But, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the beginning of that, but the bit where the Park actually kicks in properly, I really like that as well. I mean, I like the song Le Park anyway by Tangerine Dream, but that slowed down version just makes it so moody and brooding and just miserable sounding. I think it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. It's like, it's been given the doom metal treatment, you know.
Yeah, not many. Sorry, Al, what was you going to say before I interrupted you?
What was I going to say? I can't fucking remember. I don't know. But I'm a massive fan of Martin Galway anyway, and I don't think he's ever put out a poor piece of music, you know, and it's always good to hear more stuff.
Yeah, he has done one that was shit.
What was that one?
Oh, I can't believe you need me to say.
Was it on my last album, Chris, by any chance?
Your last one? I think it is on one of them. I don't know if it was your last one though.
What one was you thinking of?
With Green Beret Loader.
Oh right, no. I thought you was going to say Kung Fu 2 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not big on the music for Kung Fu 2, but it's not awful. At least the main theme isn't. The jingle when you start the level, it's horrendously out of tune. And the game itself is absolute fucking carsy, isn't it? No, Green Beret Loader, I cannot stand it. It's
You really are in a minority on that one, though, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I know there are plenty of people who really hold it in like really high esteem. Some I've heard say, they think it's Galway's best. I'm like, what the fuck are you on? You know.
I mean, I like it. It's not Galway's best though. I prefer the in-game music to the Loader than Green Beret anyway.
No, not a good choice. Excellent.
Oh, there you go. That's 5 each, then, isn't it? Really?
So you get to pick the wee bonus one, do you? Since it's your video.
Well, yeah, I'll play out with one which we won't get to talk about. Oh, well, we can talk about it, but that talking won't be on the video. seeing as that's that then, cheers to pair of you for coming on the channel and taking part.
It's a pleasure. Good to be back.
Nice to see you back in a SID show.
Get the band back together again. Yep, it's been brilliant. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. And old grumpy bollocks down the bottom there. Right, well, in that case then, I will play us out with a piece by Martin Galway, funnily enough, that I'd already pre-selected.
It's not Green Beret Loader, is it?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I was so tempted to change it. No, it's not.
And it's no parallax, because you know your track record trying to get parallax to work.
No, it's the main theme from Whizball. So
Good choice.
I'm going to play us out with that. So yeah, thanks again to the pair of you. Thanks everyone for watching. But until the next video, laters.
Cheers, guys.